Hello and welcome to this tutorial. So we are going to go through the process today of creating a mandala using objects that we have drawn with either freehand drawing that has been traced in Illustrator with image trace or with drawn objects and vectors. So firstly, these images that I'm using today have already been image traced and they have been expanded. Now you're going to start a new document, go to File, New. We want to make sure that the document is square. So we are going to come up here and select with pixels. And we're going to make it 800 by 800. So good. CMYK and new. Great. Now we are going to draw a vertical line through the center of the page. So hold Shift to get a straight line. Click and drag. We're going to zoom in, Control plus, and just check that our line is touching the very top of our page. Wonderful. And just checking all the way at the bottom that it is also touching there. So just pressing the selection tool. There we go. And Control minus to zoom out. And now we want to check that it's all aligned. We go to the Align panel here. It's centered. If you're missing it, just go to Window and select Align. To get that action panel. Now we want to rotate, so grab the rotation tool from the left toolbar. Click, and as you move, just hold down the Alt so you get that double arrow, and it makes a copy of that line. If you want to select the whole thing, just use the Align panel again to make sure it's all straight and centered, because that is very important for this process. So heading back to our images on our separate file, and I'm going to use the direct selection tool, A on the keyboard, drag and select the first shape I would like to use, the first object. So I have pressed Control C, Control A on Mac to copy, and then Control V to paste. Control plus to zoom in. Just going to move my shape to the side. Moving up to top right. If I would like to resize, just click with the V tool, hold Shift to retain the size of your object and the dimensions. With the V tool, select the whole area and press Control G to group. Right click and there's group at the top there as well. Go to Effect, Distort and Transform, and Transform. So in this panel, we are going to change the angle of this object. So we will go to 30 degrees. We want to reflect it on the x-axis, and we want to make one copy of that. So before you press OK, just press Preview. Looks good to me. Press OK. Great, so we have that first copy. We'll go through the same process, distort and transform. Transform again. It will come up with the warning, that's fine. We are applying new layer. So here we want to select 60 degrees. We're not clicking the reflect, but we will make 5 copies of that object. There we go. Just click the preview just to double check that everything's fine. Great, and as we can see, that object has been repeated around a mandala. But as you can see, when I move the mouse over the other objects, they're not selecting, it's just a replication of that one on the screen. So if I want to move this one around, you can see it moves the whole mandala. So just Control Z to undo that. Oh, too far. So press Control Shift Z just to undo that backspace. So we're going to do the direct selection tool. So click A on the keyboard, drag and select just the shape you want to change. V for the selection tool, and we can resize. Just remember to hold down Shift. Go, so we don't lose the dimensions of our object. Just going to reposition. Rotate slightly. Control minus to zoom out just to check that everything's all okay. Great, and now we are going to create a new layer. Just go down to the bottom right here on layers, create new layer. You should see here on your layers panel, a new one comes up. And we are going to use the direct selection tool, and select the X and Y axis lines that we created. We are going to hold down Control C and copy them. Then we're going to lock that layer we're working on and go to our new layer. And we're going to hit Shift Control V to paste into position. If you can see, it's a different color now because it's on that new layer. So we'll go back to our original images that we created. Let's see, which one will I put in? The scorpion. Okay, so I quite like this scorpion, so we will use the direct selection tool. We will click and drag and make sure we're just dragging and selecting that. Just V to select, Control C to copy. Click back to your mandala and Control V just to paste it into place. Just move him up. Try and keep all of your objects in this top right corner just so it's easy to manage them and you know where they all are. Sort of like a House of Mirrors situation here. So just click and drag, select the X and Y axis and the object, Control Z to make it into a group, and you're just going through the same process. I'm going to Effect, Transform. With the angle, again, I'll do 30. I'll mirror it and I'll do one copy. Check the preview. All good. Go through the process again. I'll do 90 this time, just because I want to only have 4 copies. So we'll check on the preview how that looks. Yep, and I'm happy with that. Press OK. And now we want to change just this object, so we have to make sure to use the direct selection tool, A on the keyboard, click and drag just to select the object, V to use the selection tool so we can resize it and move it around easily, and just readjust slightly until I'm happy, and Control minus to zoom out, and looks all good. Press A to use the direct selection tool, select that X and Y axis again, Control C to copy them, and we'll go through the same process of locking that layer, creating a new layer, and then Control Shift V to paste into position. Again, it's another color, so we know it's worked. Go back to our images, and we'll select another one. Great. Change it to V, Control C. So it's very repetitive. You'll pick up the pattern early on. If you're not sure, just watch the video again to see. So the difference with this one, there's going to be a slight difference now. So I'm going to put this avocado into position. Great, I'm happy with where he is. And I don't want to reflect them, but I want to get a certain number. So first we'll group it. So click and drag, Control G to group. And now I'm just going to count how many segments I want with that avocado. So if we count through here, there are 6. So to work that out, if you want to change the numbers, we'll do 360 degrees. And we will divide it by 6 because we know that's how many avocados we want. And that equals 60, so that's 60 degrees. So we need to go back through. And we'll change it to 60 degrees. We won't mirror it, but we will do 6 copies. Preview. Yep, wonderful. All in the exact place I want them. And we'll press OK. And now we've done all that, we will go through the same process. So direct selection, copy and paste the X and Y axis on a new layer. select a new object. Group the X and Y axis and the object together. Go to Effect, Distort and Transform, Transform. Again, just count how many you want. Look at angle and the copy. As we can see here, because I have done a different replication of those objects in the middle, they are overlapping in some areas. If that's part of your design, you're welcome to leave it, but I've decided to move mine up just a little bit. So just with this next section, I've decided to redraw one of my lemons and have them in the middle. So with this technique, we will not be using the transform to replicate it. We'll actually just be drawing a single shape. So to do that, I've just created a new layer in the same method. I'm going to use the shape tool. Just when resizing, again, just remember to hold down Shift so you don't distort the shape. To make a copy of this image, you can just hold down Control C, Control V, or you can just hold down Alt and click and drag another copy. This one I'm just going to make a little bit smaller so it looks like the rind of the lemon. And see, with this really cool effect in the middle, we get the lines working to look like a lemon, but if we remove them, we can see they're not actually there. So we need to draw those lines. I will just use the line tool, just really simply click and drag just to mark those up. And if we remove all those layers, we can see that those lines are going to be showing now on that layer. Just move this line a little bit because I can see it's a bit off. And now I'm just using the pen tool, clicking and dragging to draw a few lemon seeds just to make it ready. You can add objects in this way if you like into your mandala, but if you are going to be using that transform tool to replicate them and sort of mirror them around the central space, then you really need to make sure that once you've finished your drawing, you need to select the X and Y axis and then do Control G to group it all together. Otherwise, they'll spin on their own central axis and then you just get a funny star shape instead of an actual repetition of your object. Go just holding down Alt and clicking and dragging to make another copy quickly and easily. Control minus just to zoom out. And I think I'm missing one more shape here, so I might just add something small, just a little detail. Again, the same process, selecting that X and Y axis, creating a new layer. So this combines a few different techniques and using our objects. Hopefully you'll be able to memorize it quickly as you're repeating a lot of steps again and again, but layering them and having them in that order makes it easy for you to work with them and adjust some of the settings. Here we are just going to delete all our margin lines. So
unlock everything, click and drag to select just the X or Y. And here on your color palette, you want to select the stroke to be no fill. So we don't want to delete them because the effect will be ruined, but just select the no fill. So we can't actually see those lines anymore. And if we zoom out, that's it completed. An extension on that is if you want to color or add tone onto your work. So some students are going to be painting their work with watercolor or other mediums or coloring in. If you would prefer to add some more dark tones or add some different colors, then those original objects that you put in are the ones you edit, and they'll edit all the way around, so you won't have to repeat that action. Just remember to save your work as an Illustrator file, so a .ai file, so you can edit this one, and also a JPEG if you're wanting to save a copy you can put up somewhere or share with someone else. Thank you very much, and I hope you have fun making mandalas.